My brother-in-law, who married my sister, admitted to loving my wife, and it triggered a shocking chain of events in our family. I wish I could say this started off with something simple. But no, it had to be at a goddamn family barbecue of all things. You know the type. Kids running around, burgers on the grill, laughter in the air. One of those days that's supposed to be easy, relaxed, where you don't expect a bombshell to drop. We were all gathered in my parents' backyard. My sister and her husband, my wife, and our 2 boys. Mom and Dad were arguing about the right way to grill corn on the cob while my kids were busy torturing some ants by the bushes. Typical family shit, right? Nothing too intense. Then, out of nowhere, my brother-in-law, let's just call him Bill, walks up to me with this look on his face. You know the one. Like he's either about to throw up or drop some kind of life-changing confession. I thought maybe he was going to admit he forgot my sister's birthday again, or that he dented my car the last time he borrowed it. But no. Oh no, it was worse. Way worse. Hey, he starts, voice all shaky. I need to tell you something. I shrugged, figuring it couldn't be that serious. What's up? He looks around like he's making sure no one's listening, then leans in closer. His breath reeks of beer, and his eyes have that glossy look. He's drunk. I should have just brushed it off right there, but instead, I let him continue. I think I'm in love with your wife. I swear. Time stopped. Everything around me just froze. I couldn't process it at first. Like, what the actual fuck did he just say? I blinked a couple of times, waiting for the punchline or for him to laugh it off as a bad joke. But he just stood there, staring at me like a kicked puppy. Excuse me? I finally managed to spit out. My voice came out harsher than I expected, but I didn't care. I'm serious, he continued, as if doubling down would make it any better. I've been in love with her for a long time. I don't know how it happened, man, but I can't stop thinking about her. I'm not a violent guy, okay? I've never been in a fight in my life, but at that moment, I wanted to beat the living shit out of him. How could he say something like that? And at a goddamn family barbecue, no less. What the hell was I supposed to do with that information? But before I could say anything, my wife came over, oblivious to the tension in the air. What are you 2 talking about? She asked, smiling that innocent smile of hers. I looked at her, then at Bill, who had the nerve to look guilty as hell. And in that split second, I made the decision to not blow everything up. Not yet, anyway. Nothing, I muttered, forcing a smile. Just talking about the game. She nodded, clearly not suspecting a thing, and went back to checking on the kids. But I was left there, seething, trying to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do with this confession. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, all I could see was Beale's face, his words echoing in my head. I think I'm in love with your wife. Over and over again, like some kind of sick mantra. My wife was lying next to me, peacefully asleep, completely unaware that her brother-in-law had just turned our world upside down. The next morning, I woke up with this heavy pit in my stomach. I couldn't just let it go. I couldn't pretend like nothing had happened. But at the same time, I didn't want to blow up our entire family over this mess. So I did what any rational person would do. I confronted him. It was early, and I knew he'd be at the gym. So I showed up, not bothering with small talk or pleasantries. I walked right up to him, cornered him by the lockers, and said, "We need to talk." He looked at me, and I could see the panic in his eyes. Man, I was drunk. I didn't mean... Cut the crap, I snapped. You don't say shit like that unless you mean it. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. I don't know what to say. It's the truth. I've had feelings for her for a while, and I don't know how to stop them. I wanted to punch him. I really did, but instead, I just stood there, fists clenched, trying to hold myself together. You need to stay the hell away from her, I said through gritted teeth. You hear me? I don't care what you're feeling. You keep that shit to yourself, and you keep your distance. He nodded, looking like a scolded child. I'm sorry, man. I really am. I never wanted to hurt you or her or anyone. But his apology meant nothing to me. Not then. Not after what he'd admitted. So I turned around and left before I did something I'd regret. I thought maybe we could move past it. Maybe if we all just kept our distance, things would go back to normal. But of course, life isn't that simple, is it? A couple of weeks later, my mom insisted on having a family dinner. "It's been too long since we all sat down together," she said. "We need to reconnect." I tried to get out of it. I really did. But she guilt-tripped me with her whole family is everything speech. So I caved. I figured I could get through one dinner without losing my mind. Big mistake. The tension was palpable the moment we all sat down. My wife was her usual cheerful self, chatting away with my sister and mom about God knows what, completely oblivious to the storm brewing underneath. And Beal, he couldn't even look me in the eye. Every time I glanced at him, he was staring at his plate, like it held the answers to all his problems. Halfway through the meal, my dad made some offhand comment about how my wife and Bill always seemed to get along so well. "You two are like peas in a pod," he laughed, clearly not knowing the shitstorm he was stirring up. I saw Bill tense up, his fork clattering against his plate. My wife just smiled, completely unaware of the underlying tension. But I couldn't take it. I couldn't sit there and let this farce continue. "You have no idea," I muttered under my breath, too quiet for anyone but Bill to hear. He shot me a panicked look, like he was begging me to keep quiet, but I was done keeping a secret. I was done playing along. "You know what?" I said louder this time. "I'm not hungry anymore." I pushed back my chair, the screech of wood against tile echoing through the room. Everyone stopped talking, all eyes on me. My mom looked confused, my sister concerned, and my wife, well, she just looked shocked. "Are you okay?" she asked, reaching out to touch my arm. I yanked it away, standing up so fast my chair almost tipped over. "No," I said, my voice shaking with barely contained rage. "No, I'm not okay. Not after what this asshole said to me." Everyone stared at Bill, who was now pale as a ghost, looking like he was about to puke. "What did he say?" my sister asked, her voice trembling. I looked at her, then at Bill, who was practically sweating bullets. "Why don't you tell her?" I said, crossing my arms over my chest. "Go on, tell her what you told me at the barbecue." He didn't say anything, just sat there, like a deer caught in headlights. My sister turned to him, her face scrunched up in confusion. "What is he talking about?" I could see him struggling, the gears in his head turning, as he tried to come up with something, anything, to get out of this mess. But in the end, he just dropped his head into his hands and muttered, "I'm sorry." That dinner? Yeah, it ended in chaos. My sister stormed out, dragging Beal with her. My wife was left standing there, stunned, not knowing what the hell was going on. My parents were yelling at me, asking why I had to ruin a nice family dinner. And me? I just stood there, feeling like the entire world had collapsed around me. My wife didn't talk to me for the rest of the night. She just went to bed, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I wanted to explain, to tell her everything, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how to say, "Hey, by the way, your brother-in-law is in love with you." The next morning, she finally broke the silence. "What happened last night?" she asked, sitting across from me at the kitchen table. I took a deep breath, trying to figure out where to start. "Bill, he told me something that I didn't know how to handle." She frowned, her eyes narrowing in confusion. "What did he say?" I looked her in the eye, trying to gauge her reaction before I dropped the bomb. "He told me he's in love with you?" Her face went through about 100 different emotions in the span of a few seconds. Shock, confusion, disbelief, and then, finally, anger. "Are you serious?" she asked, her voice rising. "He said that?" I nodded, not sure what else to say. She let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. "Unbelievable. Absolutely fucking unbelievable." I could see the hurt in her eyes, the betrayal, and it killed me because I knew she had no idea. She had always seen Bill as just her sister's husband, nothing more. This wasn't her fault, but somehow we were both caught in the crossfire. "What do we do now?" I asked, feeling completely lost. She sighed, rubbing her temples like she had the weight of the world on her shoulders. "I don't know," she admitted. "I really don't know. things only got worse after that. My sister stopped talking to me, blaming me for exposing Bill's feelings and ruining their marriage. My parents were pissed, saying I should have handled things privately instead of airing our dirty laundry at a family dinner. But what was I supposed to do? Keep quiet? Let Bill continue with his bullshit? No way. I wasn't going to let him poison our family any more than he already had. A few days later, I got a call from my sister. She sounded tired, like she hadn't slept in days. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. We met at a park, away from everyone else. She looked like hell. Dark circles under her eyes, hair a mess, like she'd been crying for hours. And honestly, I didn't know what to say to her. What could I say? "I don't know what to do," she admitted, staring at the ground. "I love him, but how can I stay with him after this?" I didn't have an answer for her. All I could do was listen as she poured out her heart, trying to make sense of the mess her life had become. "I feel so stupid," she said, wiping away a tear. "How did I not see this coming?" "It's not your fault," I told her, because what else could I say? "None of this is your fault." She nodded, but I could tell she didn't really believe me. And honestly, I wasn't sure I believed it either. Update, it's been about a year since everything went down, and let me tell you, shit's still not the same. My sister and BL decided to try and work things out, but it's been rocky, to say the least. They're in therapy, trying to figure out if they can salvage their marriage after everything that happened. I don't know if they'll make it, but I hope they do, for her sake. As for me and my wife, we're doing okay. Things were tense for a while, but we've been working through it. I had to learn how to trust again, and she had to deal with the fallout of being caught in the middle of this whole mess. But we're stronger now, I think. Or at least, we're trying to be. My parents? They still don't fully understand what happened. They think I overreacted, that I should have kept things quiet, but I don't regret what I did. Baal needed to be exposed for the shit he pulled. I wasn't going to let him get away with it. But honestly, I'm just tired. Tired of the drama, tired of the tension. I just want things to go back to normal, but I know they never will. Not really. I thought things were finally starting to calm down. I thought we were all moving on. But then, out of nowhere, my sister dropped the biggest bombshell yet. She's pregnant. And here's the kicker. It might not be BL's kid. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute. Apparently, during one of their breaks from each other, she had a fling with some guy she met at a bar. She swears it was a one-time thing, a mistake she regrets. But now, she's not sure who the father is. Bill, of course, is freaking the fuck out. He's trying to be supportive, trying to stick by her, but you can tell he's losing his shit. And my sister, she's a wreck. She doesn't know what to do, who to turn to, and honestly, I don't know how to help her anymore. Part of me wants to just walk away from all of this, just cut ties and be done with the drama. But she's my sister, you know? I can't just abandon her, no matter how fucked up things get. So here we are, waiting for a paternity test to tell us whether this baby is BIL's or some random guy's. And honestly, I don't know what the hell is going to happen next. All I know is that this whole mess started with a confession. And now, it feels like it's never going to end. So, the paternity test came back. The baby is BL's. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? Like, maybe now they can move forward and start rebuilding their lives. But no, because Bill dropped another bombshell. He wants a divorce. He says he can't do it anymore. The love he once had for my sister isn't enough to overcome everything that's happened. He's tired of the drama, the lies, the mistrust. And honestly, I can't blame him. I'm tired too. My sister is devastated, of course. She thought they could work through it, that they could get past everything. But I guess some things are just too broken to fix. So that's it. The end of their marriage. The end of this whole messed up chapter in our lives. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I do know one thing. Our family will never be the same again. And honestly, I'm just ready to move on.